Hey everyone. So I've had my Steam Deck for about 2, 3 months now, and I've been trying to use it as much as I can to produce this video for you. And I think I'm finally ready to go through how I feel about the Steam Deck, the capabilities of it, and if people really should get one. So I just really want to my Steam Deck is also being utilized as a docked PC. I've been using it in my bedroom for a little bit now. I purchased a dock before the official one came out. The one that I have has 3 USB 3.0 ports and one HDMI out. It also has one USB-C port. I am currently using a custom Red Dragon keyboard with the 2.4 gigahertz wireless receiver and a um, rival series Arrow clone by Bendgoo or whatever, also using a 2.4 gigahertz radio as my keyboard and mouse. This is also the mouse I use for my main PC, but I also have a backup one for when I'm doing projects like this. This is a Zephyr Pro with custom blue switches. This one has custom Holy Panda switches and custom red switches and a custom Cherry MX Brown switch on the shift key for more competitive style gaming. So I am capturing this through a Elgato HD60 at 1080p. The system does not run at 1080p. The system runs at a lower resolution. This allows some games to run pretty well. This is the second grade model of the Steam Deck. Let me pull that up. Modified with 2 SD cards. So I have a 1 terabyte SD card that is not compliant with the Steam applications, which means it's not rated for Steam applications. I use this for massive storage and stuff like that. And then I use a 510 for Steam. I don't have the 1 terabyte with me, but I will show off some of the applications and whatnot. So if we go in here, we go to main capture, and I bring this over real quick. So this is the Steam Deck. This is what's available. This is a variant of the dock that I am using. It pretty much looks identical to this, but it was a version before it. This was a knockoff or something like that. So let's just show which one. I think I paid less than $89. I think I paid like 50 by now. So I have this version here, the 256 gigabyte NVMe SSD. I got the carrying case and all that, and I have it on my account. So pretty cool. It is pretty quick. But let's go over the technical details really quick while we're here. So this is running an AMD CPU APU, which means it does not have a discrete graphics card from what I understand. This is using a Zen 2 4-core 8-thread at 2.4 to 3.5 gigahertz, depending on the heat. The GPU is the 8 RDNA with 2 CUDA, I almost said CUDAs. CUs running at 1 gigahertz or 1.6 gigahertz, which is pretty decent, 1000 megahertz to 1600 megahertz is pretty good. Just to put that into perspective, Steam Deck GPU equivalent. I believe it's a RX 480 or GTX. Yeah, so GTX 1050 or 950 or so. So it's not like the highest specs ever. The RAM is pretty good. I will say that having 16 gigabytes of onboard RAM has been really nice. This really could have been shaved down to 8 and sold cheaper, but having the 16 really does help. So I have the second model here, which is using PCIe Gen 3 by 4, which is pretty good. And it has a D-pad and full assembly. It has haptics. It's honestly pretty good. It's got gyro, and this is the aspect ratio is 16 by 10, 1280 by 800 pixels. So, it's more resolution than 720p. But honestly, it is worth it. Having that smaller screen is pretty good. 400 nits is not bad. 60 hertz is perfectly fine. That's about 60 frames per second. showing on screen. If you go above 60 FPS, you're just really not going to see it. And it uses a 45-watt USB Type-C. So I have a couple qualms with this. I would have liked a secondary Type-C port. Only having one Type-C port on the device means that if that USB port were to get damaged, you can't easily replace it. It's obviously going to be soldered on and things like that. Although Steam seems to be taking it very seriously to support this product and make sure that people are able to use it. It also has the micro SD port, and here's some other information that you might need. So its operating system is SteamOS 3.0, and it is also running a desktop KDE Plasma. I will show that off in this video as well. So let's go ahead and go back to console. So my experience with this so far has been pretty good, honestly. The desktop support has been pretty good. Yeah, I honestly, I was very surprised by how well this all functioned. The keyboard support is not great. It really wants you to use the dock as it is. So if you're trying to use this big picture mode, as I call it, because that's essentially what it is, you got to use your keyboard and your mouse, and you got to like navigate this in a very strange way, and that can be quite frustrating. But ultimately, it does run things better than I thought. So here, let's run Doom. Let me pull up the see, this is what I'm talking about. You gotta really, there we go. Let's do that. Let's turn off the frame limit. So it gives you a lot of room for checking stuff out and getting really deep, in-depth breakdowns of what's going on. So I am plugged in. I am on a dock. This thing is running pretty cold. And yeah, it wants to use the official layout. This is a touchpad that you use for aiming and your mouse cursor and things like that. I found that I don't really need to use that. The only time I was really using it was playing, oh God, Into the Spire, I believe it's called. It's a card style game. And there are a lot of games that just aren't super supported, and that can be pretty frustrating. So there are some things that you need to take into consideration when deciding to use this. Where's my mouse? I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down quite a bit because I can't hear it anyways. As you can see, it does run really well. Its output looks fine. Again, this is going to be probably outputting at 1080p. You can see it has quite a few CPU cores. Oh, I forgot how long this takes to load. And this is probably loading off of the SD card. But it is really pretty. It looks really good on the Steamdeck itself. I had really no issues playing games as of right now. I have yet to run into anything that was really frustrating. The Steam Cloud link up has been pretty good as well. I had zero issues getting my save games downloaded and things like that. And if you don't know, this game is pretty difficult to run, all things considered. As you can see, this is running not great as of right now. But we can go ahead and go into the settings here, go to video. So it's running at 720p. We could probably turn down the TSA, just put on FXA. Go here. So our first problem, we want to run this in Vulkan. But But there has been situations where it's like you gotta know what you're doing in order to use the Steam Deck efficiently. Like games don't know what to do with the APU. Games don't know what to do when trying to run specific titles, and you kind of got to go in and adjust things to get them to run correctly. Linus Tech Tips and other people have discussed this as well. Um, and in many situations, I've found that just running remote play has been more beneficial. But I've really been trying to stay away from remote play and playing games directly off of the system, which is the reason why I upgraded my RAM, or not my RAM, my storage, so I have more games available to me when I'm out and about and I bring this to the cabin and things like that, which I haven't been able to do, so I've just been playing in bed. But the playtime on it has been about an hour and a half running at maximum tilt. So as you can see, now we're getting a lot smoother frame rate. We're getting the 30 FPS that you would expect, and it does look and play pretty good. And when you're looking at this on the actual, monitor that it comes with, it's not bad. The input has some ghosting, which is pretty annoying. And playing with the joysticks and everything like that can be quite frustrating. It's not something I would really recommend anybody do. But I mean, ultimately, this does look and play pretty good. And you can see my frame rate really isn't struggling here. It's just sitting at 30 FPS. I am getting some like input delay, but I am playing through a capture. I'm not playing off the monitor itself. I have the monitor, I'm sorry, the display turned off on my Steam Deck when I'm in game, when I'm outputting via HDMI. I kind of like playing on my lap like this. This is pretty cool. But yeah, you can see like the resolution and everything's fine. This is about what you should expect, but the fact that you're able to play full-on titles is really the super crazy, super crazy part of this whole situation. The fact that Steam was able to accomplish this is insane, in my opinion. Obviously, there are other devices that can do this at this point, but one of the real reasons why I really wanted to get a Steam Deck is so I can. Hang on, let me be Steam button. I can't see it because where my webcam is. Let me. Nope, I want that. I want to go to power and switch to desktop. So the system's going to be rebooting now into a desktop window environment. And this is what I really wanted it for. Sadly, as of right now, it seems like it's not working 100% correct, which is super frustrating. Like, this isn't even counted as a window. And yeah, they need to do some work here to get this functioning. But as you can see, there's a whole client side of Windows that you can, or Windows, Plasma here that you can utilize that allows you to update your games and use a basic version of Linux. I actually really quite enjoy this version of Linux. It's really good when it works. It doesn't always work, but you can see I have multimedia and things like that. I have my games folder and everything like that. You can run emulators. Everything's up and running. PCX2, I had issues getting the frame rate dialed in. 3DS ran perfectly fine. PCSX2, again, didn't run right. PSP didn't run right. Switch ran perfectly fine, which is pretty neat. Obviously, I don't want to show people how to do that because Nintendo has been taking people down. But the some of the things that I feel like need to be worked on is this. The network environment is not very good. Connecting it up to your PC is pretty annoying. You need Warpinator and Wininator in order to move files around. So if you want to move ROMs and things like that over to your Steam Deck to play, you need to use an application called Warpinator. and Wininator on your PC. Make sure both your PC and your Steam Deck are on the same system in order to properly utilize that. And it's very simple to just go back into gaming mode, which puts it back into handheld mode. So we're going to get a no signal, and it's going to boot back into the Steam Deck. So my final thoughts really are pretty straightforward. I think the Steam Deck really is useful for somebody who wants to get into PC gaming, but also really enjoys something like the Switch. Uh, Hopefully, they would have quite a bit of knowledge on Linux and things like that. Although I found that using the Linux OS as somebody who's not big into Linux, I side boot my PC into Linux and things like that from time to time, just for basic application use, security, and anonymity. Um, so I mean, it really comes down to how you're using your system. The Steam Deck, in my opinion, is just all around a great semi-budget PC-ish system. Um, I've tried using this for Windows update, or not Windows, YouTube uploads. I've tried using this for Discord, which you can do. Common misconception is that you cannot use Discord on your Steam Deck. That is incorrect. You can actually go to the Discord website, log in, set up your microphone and your output to the headphone jack. You will need a splitter in order to use a regular headset. And once you do that, you can stay in the desktop environment and launch a game. From what I've seen, sometimes launching a game can result in issues. Um, but my friends have never noticed when I'm using a Steam Deck. They have never complained about my audio quality, nothing when using the Steam Deck. In fact, I think the audio quality is pretty good. I've had very little bugginess because it seems like the web browser, it's just sideloading everything through the browser. In this case, it's Mozilla Firefox that I installed. Minimizing that and running Discord, I have had no issues. The desktop environment is kind of annoying because you cannot utilize it without getting some form of application that allows you to have an on-screen keyboard. This might already be patched. I haven't seen it. I went to their in-app store, which I can pull up, which is pretty cool, honestly. So if we go back into here and we go back into the desktop environment, if I can't see it again. Um, so we're gonna go, oh, I have to put in my code, hang on. Yeah, it's pretty locked down, honestly. And I think that's really good, is having the system locked down. So we're gonna go to power, switch to desktop client again. And this might pull up the desktop client differently. Yep, it did. So this time it pulled it up correctly, and this is something that I'm talking about. The desktop environment just doesn't load up correctly. And whenever I do a desktop output, I lose my taskbar, which is why this is here. Losing your taskbar is fucking annoying. These are all things that I think need to be fixed immediately, especially when you're doing a cloned environment, because cloning reduces your GPU and CPU load because it just sends the signal to two locations. No big deal. Anyways, yeah, I had to get this from the store. I go to Discover here, and this is their, I guess you could say the Plasma store, but it's pretty much the Linux store, essentially. If you think of like, let's see, Google Play Store. You can just go through here. You can search up programs that you want. So if I want Krita, I can go ahead and click on Krita. I use Krita on Windows to make thumbnails from time to time. So installing this will allow me to then make stuff here. And you have Dolphin, which is your task or your manager here. So on Windows 10 or 11, you'll know that if you right click, you can open the File Explorer. This is essentially the same thing. So this is the file explorer for your desktop environment, which works very similarly to Windows 11. I found translating this to be very easy. You can see a lot of people are torrenting and things like that. So here we have Krita. We can go ahead and launch that. And there it is. And if you don't know, the Steam Deck also has a touchscreen. So if I really wanted to, I can palm this and get a pen and use Krita for very accurate drawing and things like that. So that's super cool. It's probably not going to launch because oh, it is going to launch. So if you have like a draw pad or something like that, now you have a Steam Deck, you can also um, use Krita for that. So I can come over here and I can use my finger and I can draw stuff, which is pretty cool. So now I have a Steam Deck drawing pad. So if I wanted to use Krita, I can do that now in Linux, which is pretty cool. But I need to make a desktop. So all applications. And then if we go in here, we need to type in Krita. This is where, things are a little annoying. The desktop environment's buggy. It's imperfect. This is pretty much the big hard no-no in my opinion. This is really where I think the Steam Deck fell flat on its face. When it works great. If I specifically really wanted to get into like 3DS and things like that, so that way I have a touch screen over here. So when I play something like The World Ends With You, before I play Neo The World Ends With You, um, I wanted to have an environment where I can tap like I would on a 3DS, and it's imperfect. I haven't tried out any styluses or anything like that. I'm sure people who are more technical can really make really good videos on this and how to do it super appropriately and things like that. But all things considered, I'm really impressed with this whole entire situation. I think it's great that this is an opportunity for people who want to get into this mobile PC space to have it right there and available to them. So, yeah, this has just been a real quick breakdown of what I thought of the Steam Deck. I think if this is something that you're kind of iffy on, I would say pull the trigger. Um, Definitely go for the second option. That way you are getting the extra 256 gigabytes of space because this thing fills up super fast. Something very important to note is not every single game is going to run. Not every single game is going to run great. They are working on things like Proton and Wine in order to get Windows only games to work on it and run at 30 FPS, 60 FPS, run at decent frames per second. And that is super important because the Steam Deck only currently runs Linux games and some Windows games, from what I understand. They have like a whole verified list, which I can already tell you is imperfect. I downloaded Fable Anniversary, attempted to play it, and it did not work right. So if I go in here and I type in Fable, I can show you in library. Yeah, and as you know, I did a playthrough of this game recently. I wanted to check it out on the Steam Deck, and it ran like ass. And I don't know if it's because the APU is a different variant of the commercial one. Obviously, this is probably a balled onto motherboard CPU, so those are things that you have to take into consideration. This is not something that you can just pop off and replace and put a new one on. Uh, Not going to happen. There are some pretty cool mods that I've seen people do, making little brackets that have a PC fan that runs off of USB, so that way they can attach it to their dock and it pulls air from the normal fan location in the back of the Steam Deck. But yeah, this has just been my quick run through of the Steam Deck. I wanted to give more information on it. I think this is a very special um, product. Where is this? There it is. I think this is a very special product that a lot of people should be taking consideration of. I've covered different forms of mobile style gaming on this channel before, including the GameSir X2 Android-based controller that makes your phone pretty much into a Switch. It allows you to access full joystick support, face button support, and things like that, and allows you to use the Steam app for remote play. So it really comes down to what you're looking for and if you already have a system. If you're expecting 4K graphics and the super high end, this is not the system for you. This is definitely more of a 800p 720p system. If you're outputting to a TV, maybe 1080p depending on the title. There are some titles like Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, where you're not going to get that 60 FPS. You're probably going to see 30 FPS. But if that's something that you're fine with, this is an awesome addition to your tool belt. As of right now, I am running this system. I have 3 other PCs in the other room. I have my laptop, which is running a 1660 in it. So I've had quite a few things to compare to. When running and working with the Steam Deck, I ran it against a RX 388 gigabyte that was overclocked. I ran it against a GTX 962 gigabyte, and I ran it against a R9 282 gigabyte. And then I also ran it against a 1660M and my 3080 Ti. From what I saw, the Steam Deck seems to fall right behind my laptop in performance, which is awesome to see because my laptop actually fully supports clamshell mode. Having the Steam remote client available on my laptop means one of my friends could use my laptop while we play Dolphin on the Steam Deck and play Super Smash Brothers 4 controllers because it does have Bluetooth, it does have all of that. So if I were to connect up, say, a Steam Switch Pro controller like this one, or if I were to connect up a PS4 controller like this one, I can use the wireless functionality in order to do that, and I can also use a wired controller like this Razer Wolverine to then have the 3 controllers, 2 inputted via Bluetooth and 1 inputted via a USB. And since I'm using 2.4 gigahertz keyboards, only 2 USB slots can be used up, or I could even go get one of the bundle kits where it uses 1 USB for 2 devices, like a mouse and a keyboard, and that would actually decrease my USB usage on the Steam Deck. The audio is perfectly fine. The haptic feedback is perfectly fine. The USB-C charging is perfectly fine. It seems to have a very good smart indicator to notify the system of when it's fully charged, when to kick off the USB-C charging. Um, and it seems to dial it down to about 55% when sitting on it for, I believe it's 12 hours. So it'll keep the system at 100% for 12 hours, and then if you leave it on the charger, it lets it drain to what I think is 55%. My laptop seems to do the same thing, but it's a setting on the laptop that I had to enable. I also have smart outlets for devices like this. All of my laptops, all of my phones go through a smart outputter that measures the voltage and the amperage and the wattage, and then has a sense in it that when an item is no longer charging, it kicks off that switch, and I can control it using an app. And that's just what I saw from my experiments. It could very well just be my smart chargers. It very well could be the system. So again, take that into consideration when you're looking to purchase a Steam Deck. I think you should get a Steam Deck. Then that's pretty much the end of that. There are a lot of modular parts coming out, so if you want to replace the um, built-in joysticks, you can do that. Yeah, very fun device, very nerdy, but even if you're just a casual user, I think Linux Plasma that was used as the desktop environment is super easy to use. I think the dock is super convenient, and you can get different ones that are cheaper. You don't have to get the Steam made one, but if you're more comfortable getting the Steam made one, get the Steam made one. It's probably outsourced anyways. Um, Very easy to repair. Everything is clipped in very easily. I took this one apart and put it back together just for basic understanding. Initially, I was going to stream that, but I ended up not streaming it because I didn't really feel comfortable putting that kind of stuff out there for somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. And me doing something blind isn't the greatest way for me to advertise this product. The software to me is what was important. The functionality is what was important to me. And everything I have seen so far has put this into a league of its own, making this a super worthwhile product for emulation fans, for Linux fans, for Steam fans, for people who are on consoles who want to come over to Steam. Um, it's all there. Everything is there and ready to go. There's ways to put your different emulators into Steam. If you already have a decent laptop, a decent desktop, the remote play functionality is awesome. I can just pick this up, move it into my basement, connect it up to the TV, and play games with my friends without issue. Um, I've had two people over. We played Mario Kart Double Dash on it perfectly fine, no issues. Ran great with a PS3 controller and a PS4 controller hooked up to it. I love it. This has been an incredible addition to my collection, honestly, and I'm very excited to have it. I've collected so many things. I'm going to go into a tangent here. I talk about how I have three PS3s. I have a K model. I have a Generation 1 and a Generation 2 model. My Generation 1 model is my FileZilla soft modded, and my other two are collectibles. I have four Xbox 360s. I have the E model. I have a Slim model. I have the Master Chief model and an Elite model. I have the Fat PS2 that has the Japanese hard drive adapter. It's got FreeMic boot on it. I have an Xbox original that has the Rocky soft mod. It has a 500 gigabyte IDE hard drive mod. It has FileZilla support. My PS2 has FileZilla support. My PS3 has FileZilla support. Um, the Steam Deck has FileZilla support. I've got a modified 3DS new. I've got a modified 3DS. Like there are so many products available to us for awesome modifications, awesome unlocking, awesome custom firmware. But with legality, if you take that into consideration, the legality of modifying consoles is this like odd gray zone with so many people. People just don't seem to understand that if I own a product, it's my right to do whatever I want with it. It is mine. Once it is out of the beholder's hand, which would be like, let's say Sony, um, I don't care what they think anymore. I own it. If I want to modify it and do what I want with it, it's my right. The only issue I have and take issue with is obviously piracy, and modding on servers and hacking on servers. That's not cool. You shouldn't do those things. It's dumb, and I don't approve of that kind of stuff. But with the Steam Deck, it's already fully opened up. You can do whatever you want with it. And that is the greatest selling point, is this company who has handed us the rule book of opening up this device, doing what we want with this device, changing out the joysticks to the ones that you want, giving us all of the options, including a full Linux operation right built into it. I mean, PS3 promised that way back in the day, and then they were like, maybe not. I mean, them saying no to having us run Linux was the worst mistake they could have made. I would have absolutely ran a PS3 forever if they wouldn't have backpedaled. I mean, back in the day, I wasn't even considering buying a PC until they backpedaled on the Linux conversation, and I was like, ooh, and then I bought my first PS3, or my first PC, which was a Core 2 quad and a GTS 6600 running 8 gigabytes of, I believe, DDR2 RAM. I think it might have been DDR3. Um, just really interesting. And then I fell in love with PCs, and here I am. You know, look in the background. There's PC right there. There's custom stuff all over the place. There's a project I'm working on. There's my Xbox. There's my, oh, I have a Zelda Wii U. That's also modified. I have a red Wii in the other room that's also modified. You know, breaking into these systems, quote unquote, and jailbreaking them, which is such a dumb term because as long as you're not doing anything illegal, does not matter. Like disks die, hard drives die, disk drives die, cartridge slots wear out. Modifying these systems is important. Modified God of War PS3 over there at Zelda 3DS with a custom screen. Like these are all things that us in the hardware scene are interested in. So this device really sells it for me. This is everything I believe in, this open source project where Steam is like, you shouldn't do these things, but if you're going to, here's a guide, essentially. Um, this runs Linux, and we're not going to lock you out of it because people are going to get into it anyways. That always happens. You get this super lockdown system, people are going to get into it anyways, unless you're a PSP Vita apparently, or a PS3 TV or PS3. What was it? PS TV. I think those are the only two devices that you can't emulate today. I haven't looked into that. Obviously, with COVID, I'm sure PS Vita has got a lot more broken into as of late, or the PS TV maybe. Um, so yeah, if you were kind of iffy on the Steam Deck, I would definitely say get a Steam Deck. The price is there, the compatibility is there. It's only going to get better. Steam seems really dedicated to supporting this project. It looks like there's potentiality for the community to come together and get Wine running on it extremely well, get Proton running on it extremely well, opening up the library to really big numbers. I mean, at the worst, you're going to have to do custom controller inputs, but even Steam is working on that where if other people figure it out, you can just download it and it'll just work. Super awesome, makes it super convenient. Um, if you have a teenager who's like, I got a Switch, and you're like, what do I get them? I don't want them to have a laptop. I don't want them to have a desktop. Steam Deck seems to be the best option because they can have all of it. They could dock it up to their TV. They can play their games on it. They can talk to their friends. They can join a different style of community. And all the while, they're going to be learning important skills like Linux and file management and optimization and boot sectors and all this other stuff, because there is a level of learning curve to using a Steam Deck if you decide to get into the nitty gritty of it and start exploring some of the harder sides of it. And I am very happy to say I've learned quite a bit about Linux. I've learned quite a bit about using this operating system, and I'm very happy to see a product like this on the market. So hopefully I've explained myself well enough. This has been very rant heavy. But yeah, get yourself a Steam Deck if you are considering it. If you're on the fence, go get one. And as always, thank you for so much for watching. I don't know why I did the Wendigoon, but if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button. I want to do more stuff like this. We are creeping up on that 1,000 subscriber threshold. I can't believe it's been 11 years I've been making content. That's insane to me. But yeah, we're creeping up on it, and once we hit 1,000 subscribers, then we have to shoot for the 4,000 viewer hours mark, and then I will make money off of YouTube, which will then support me into doing more projects, getting more hardware, and doing really fun things with them, and really expanding my scope of knowledge. I recently purchased a tin of Altoids. Can you hear that? And I want to build a super powerful Raspberry Pi Zero running the exact same operating system as the SteamOS, as the Steam Deck. And I think it would be really interesting to do that. And the only way I can do that is with your support. So subscribe, maybe consider watching another video. It will mean everything to me. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.